Currently, we're in the south section of Indianapolis, Indiana. We're off of the 4400 block of Meridian Road. Right behind me is I-465. I'm gonna take you to a location of where a triple murder occurred a couple years back. 3 young men were found murdered right somewhere in this area in the back. Somewhere I'll be looking for some kind of a mud hole or a mud bog, something along those lines. And we're gonna talk about the person who is accused of committing this triple murder. It's a face that when you see, you would think that this guy is no murderer, but don't let looks fool you. This kid has been accused of some pretty nasty things other than this triple murder. Without further ado, let's get rolling. We're gonna go back to October 12th of 2021. So in this very field where I'm currently at right now, there were some trucks that were parked that belonged to the power company out here. They were doing some work on the power lines right here, and they had hired some off-duty, I believe off-duty at the time, Indianapolis Police Department officers to guard the trucks because I'm assuming that they've had previous break-ins before. So one of the officers, he's just sitting out here making a couple extra bucks. So he walks back somewhere over here. I was told this was the location by someone that I will not name. And he's just walking around. He's probably bored. I don't know. Not much looking at around here, you know. And well, he's going to see something that is definitely going to change the mood of the entire day. He sees 3 dead bodies. Immediately, he radios that in, and now you have the whole cavalry, at least for this section of town, Indianapolis Police Department, homicide, they all come out here, and they start going towards the back of this location right here. I'm not sure how far we're going to walk back, but as they're walking in this area, they see the 3 dead black men, young. They're not sure their ages. They're not sure their identity. So immediately they're taking out of here and they're taken to the coroner's office. And while they're doing that, now crime scene investigators, they're combing the area for any kind of clues. It is believed that altogether about 50 pieces of either bullet casings or actual bullets were found in this area. So that means that up to 25 shots at least, probably even more, were fired out over here. And as I see over here, you see some kind of a homeless encampment. Don't know who lives there, really don't want to know. Okay, so let's continue on. So later on, the 3 are identified as 18-year-old Joseph Thomas, 17-year-old Abdullah Mubarak, and 22-year-old Michael James Jr. Okay, so we got 3 dead kids, basically, out here in this wooded area. As a matter of fact, just as I'm walking, I noticed that there is looks like somebody left some kind of flowers, so that wasn't too much of a far walk. So this appears, I'm gonna guess this is it right here. Because again, I was told that it happened back here somewhere, and there appears to be some artificial flowers and a piece of mylar balloon that was left. So this would have been the area where they were found. And at that time, I guess it was raining, so this area would have been kind of like a mud bog. So this appears, I'm gonna say this is it. So now we got a question. Okay, now we're at the scene of the crime. So we're gonna ask ourselves, well, first of all, who the hell did this? Why would they want these 3 kids dead? And what was the purpose of this crime? So I'm going to try to compact this story as quickly as I can for you guys to let you know what occurred right here and why. So after the friends and the family members of the deceased are contacted, detectives start asking them questions. Okay, so do you know where their last whereabouts were? What was the last time you seen them? So forth and so on. So one of the young men in this incident, Joseph Thomas, his girlfriend, I believe, or maybe a friend of his, had spoken to investigators, and she told them that basically he told her that he was going to meet up with a kid named Caden. Either he was going to buy a gun or he was going to buy a modified switch. It's basically a mechanism. They call it a switch in the streets. It's a mechanism that basically turns a pistol, like a Glock pistol, into a fully automatic machine gun. Very, very dangerous. It's a very easy mechanism from what I've heard. And they're, and this sounds scary, that they are readily available. And you can turn basically any gun into a weapon of war, if you will. Hey, what are you gonna do? You see guns like that on the movies. So they start talking to other family members of the deceased man, and the other person, Michael James Jr., 22, the family members of him stated that he had said he was gonna go meet up with this dude. His name was Caden. It's this guy right here, and we're gonna go meet up to conduct a little bit of business. What that business was, in his case, I'm not sure if he's either buying this switch or possibly he's buying a gun, or maybe he's buying weed. We're not really sure. Now, the police, now they have the name of this guy. At the time of the murders, he was 16 years of age, Caden Smith. And after doing a little bit of background on him, come to find out that this guy is basically a low-level drug dealer. He sells mushrooms, marijuana, maybe he's dabbling in a little bit of meth or whatever. And so now he is the prime suspect here in this story. Now, we're going to ask ourselves, I'm asking myself just reading this story, what would possess a 16-year-old kid who is just selling weed, whatever you need, I don't know. What would possess him to not only kill somebody here, but reportedly, supposedly come back the next day to meet two more guys and then kill them at the same location here? Now, Joseph Thomas and Abdullah Mubarak, they were killed reportedly, I think it was on October 10th, they're guessing, and then Michael James Jr. was killed here the following day on October 11th. Now, I really can't say, first of all, I can't talk about who gave me a little bit of inside information on this case, and they told me they don't know. This is just third-hand information that they heard from somebody else, but that there was a neighbor somewhere in this area. Somebody heard, reported, I don't know if they reported, but they heard a bunch of gunshots in this very area. And I can tell you right now, just by being in this area, this is not a good area. So somebody heard a bunch of loud gunfire. And also, remember when I told you when the security officer that was also an off-duty Indianapolis Police Department officer discovered the bodies? Well, and this is reportedly, that same scene, that another officer, possibly a female officer, was on duty here and heard the gunshots as well. This is supposedly that they didn't report it. Again, I can't corroborate this, but this is just rumors. So now you have this kid who is a suspect, who the police have phone records of the cell phones of the individuals, where they're, one of them at least is texting with Caden about something or another. I don't know if those records have been released or whatever, and also the mother of one of the deceased, she had taken her son to a gas station to meet up with somebody who she later identified as Caden Smith. So you have Caden Smith, who is at least linked to these three people, and one of the young men basically said that they were friends. The mother of Joseph Thomas said that her son and Caden were friends, that they were chummy. So why would Caden want to supposedly kill his own friend and two other people? And why would he kill one person, Joseph Thomas, here on the 10th, and then come back in the same location and kill Abdullah Mubarak and Michael James Jr. the following night? This is where the story really, really gets weird. So we're going to take off. We're going to leave the scene. And I'm going to try to explain the rest of the story. And hopefully you guys can understand it, because part of me does not, because I'm not a lawyer and there's a lot of legalese in this case. So the detectives, they start conducting surveillance at Caden's known home address, which is somewhere off of Thompson Avenue here. He's living with his grandmother. There is no mention of this kid's parents anywhere. So he's living with his grandmother, so she probably doesn't know what the hell this dude is doing. Now, we have a strong suspicion that Caden, bare minimum, if he's not the killer, he knows what happened. So the detectives, they start doing surveillance of his home. Now, somewhere on October 26th of 2021, they noticed that a car comes into that address where they're looking at over on Thompson. And it's like a gray full-size car, like I think it's a Pontiac G6, pulls into the driveway, and out jumps what's described as a tall, skinny person. I'm guessing it's Caden Smith. In the paperwork, they didn't make it clear that it was Caden Smith, but I believe that they just, that's Caden Smith. So he goes inside, the car dips out, so detectives, they call in another unit to pull that car over. So the car gets pulled over for some kind of, infraction, and they go into the car, and it's being driven by this kid, and they notice that when they're talking to him, they see a pistol, what they called an AR-15 style pistol. The barrel of it is sticking under the seat of the passenger seat. Now, I believe that they arrested this kid for possibly having drugs on him. Now, the paperwork doesn't say that the kid was arrested, but in another story, it says that there was some cocaine in the car. This story is weird. Half of me didn't even want to do the story because there's just some, there's not a lot to unpack because there's not a lot of information, but there's a lot of inaccuracies in the different articles. There's not a lot of information available to this crime that happened in back of me. So I'm not clear on if there really was drugs in the car, but now the detectives, they're looking at this kid's like Snapchat, and they now know that at least Caden is probably selling drugs, right? So they get a search warrant signed off by a judge, and now let me just say this: it's easy to get a search warrant. You can get a search warrant for anything. Judge is going to sign it off. Oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. So they sign off the search warrant. So they conduct the warrant. I think it happened on October 26th or maybe October 27th the next day. They go into Caden's house, his grandmother's house. They go to his room. Freeze, Indianapolis police, blah, blah, blah. They find amongst, there's marijuana, packaged up looking like he's selling marijuana. They find 2 guns. One of them has a modified switch. Okay. These guns are in his room. One article says they were in his room. One article says they were in the house. So they take him to jail and they charge him with triple murder. Now, they did a ballistics test on the gun. And what the article said was that bullet fragments that were taken from the bodies of the 3 individuals that were murdered matched the gun that was taken from his home. So they have the murder weapon, right? Okay. However, David Hennessy, who is the lawyer for Caden Smith, somehow, and this guy is good, I got to give it to him, this guy is good. He somehow convinces the court that his civil rights or something was violated because when the cops, and again, I'm not a lawyer, so hey, is there a lawyer in there? Let me know in the comments, I'll pin it. Basically, the lawyer states that because the police, when they first did the search warrant, that they didn't make it clear, something along those lines, that they would in fact find the murder weapon in the home. They just basically said, yeah, he's selling drugs, and we have phone records of the deceased. We have communication between him and the deceased. And we have witnesses stating, one of the mothers of the witness, I think that was Joseph, his friend, stated that she had took her son to the gas station to go meet up with Caden, and that, supposedly the son gave Caden his phone. Caden put in something, texting something or whatever, and then gave it back to him. So we have multiple people who can say that they seen on the day of where supposedly the murders took place, that they were in Caden's presence. You just found supposedly the murder weapon in his room that is tied to the bullet fragments that were pulled out of their corpses. Are you guys keeping up? This is okay. The judge throws out the evidence because they didn't make it clear in the language of the search warrant that there was going to be a weapon found. That's the best I could tell you guys. It's kind of confusing and dumbfounding to me how that evidence was thrown out. You found the murder weapon. I'm glad nobody's around right now, because now I'm yelling because I'm animated. You found this stinking murder weapon. You have multiple people saying that the deceased had told them they're going to go meet up with Caden to buy a switch or to buy a gun or to handle some business or whatever. I, being a betting man, would say that this guy is responsible for the murder. My question is, past the throwing the weapon out, the evidence out, because now when they throw out the evidence, this guy is able to get out of jail. He gets pre-trial release, so he's still going to. They're still going to they're still going to go with the trial, but now he's released. So this dude reportedly, supposedly kills 3 people, and you release him on the streets. Okay. Now, I would think, reading this story, 2 things are going to happen. Either somebody's going to kill him for revenge, or he's going to kill somebody else because he's a freaking psycho. So they release him. He has a GPS monitor on. So what's the first thing this guy does when he gets out of jail? Because now he's been in jail. I want to say they released him October 14th of 2022. So he's been sitting in jail at this time now for almost a year. So they released him from jail, and he's turning 18 in a couple weeks, right? So the detectives, they just sit back and they just keep an eye on him. The first thing he does when he gets out of jail is he takes this really, really cool picture on the Snapchat of him holding a gun with it, and then you can kind of see it's underneath his pant leg, but he has that GPS monitor on. I'm telling you, clout is a drug. So he takes that picture and then he starts advertising on his Snapchat. Oh, hey, I got weed, I got shrooms, I got this, I got that. So he's back in business. This guy's back in business. And the detectives, they're just sitting there just looking at this. They're like, all right, well, whatever. So I think he turns 18. I want to say it was November 23rd. So they're following this guy. So he's turning 18. So they're just like, you know what? This guy's probably going to do something stupid for his 18th birthday. So we're just going to follow him. And they followed him to a house where he was hanging out with his friend. And I don't know how quickly they got the search warrant, but they got a search warrant to search the house. They seen something, I guess, where they were able to get that warrant. They go into the house and they find multiple guns, one of them stolen. They find some weed. And also the reason why they, were surveilling him is because he had broke one of the rules of the pretrial release, which is not to contact a certain type of person. So I guess maybe he had contacted somebody that has something to do with the case. I don't know if he contacted them to threaten him or they were just like, hey man, just don't say anything. I don't freaking know. So they arrest him November 23rd, 2022. He's only out of jail for barely 6 weeks. And they charge him with selling drugs, a public nuisance charge. I don't know what the hell that is. I don't believe they charged him for witness tampering. It was some other charge. So he has a few charges. So he's back in jail. He's at the Marion County Jail right now as the recording of this video. He has no bail. Recently, there was a court hearing to see about throwing out the charges, and that was denied. I don't know yet because the ruling on whether the gun that was found in his room, that's the murder weapon, I don't know yet if a higher court is going to rule on if that evidence is admissible or not. I have no idea. Now, I will say I did speak with somebody about this case, and again, they said, I'm not going to identify them, and they don't really know much either. So I really can't corroborate anything that they say because they're like, this is what I heard. I have no idea. I felt that I've been like kind of going on and on about this story now for like the last 20 minutes. Let's just say this. Here's my question. Why? Now, the person that I spoke with heard through another person that this was a robbery gone wrong, that Caden had made an attempt to rob two of the three guys, and that supposedly the third guy was supposedly in on the robbery, and then when he seen that he started shooting these guys, he ran for his life, and then he was found dead somewhere else. So that person says that from what they know, this murder all happened at the same time. But then they're saying online in the reports that it happened 24 hours from each other. So, you got like rigor mortis, you got like signs of, they already know how long a body's going to be when they're dead, they already know how long they've been dead. So that guy, I don't know. This is the damnedest story that I've seen in at least the last month. I mean, it would make sense that, okay, so this kid wants to, sell them a gun, but then he's going to, and, the other guy, the Joseph and him were friends. So why would he rob his own friend? It's like they know who you are. If you let them go, they're going to come back and do something to you. They might even kill you. So what I'm saying is this. I want to know why. Why did he shoot them? I mean, if you're making money by selling weed, you're selling switches, you're selling pills, you're selling whatever, what would be the purpose of killing 2 or 3 people to make an extra $400? It just doesn't make sense unless this Kaden Smith is an absolute freaking psycho, which is what I'm guessing. I think he is a freaking nutcase. He's just knucking futz. He has no conscience. Just a stone cold killer. Is basically is all he is. I have no idea at all whatsoever. Absolutely amazing. I wasn't even sure how to do this video because there's not a lot of there's not a lot of information readily available. There's not a lot of, you have the murder weapon. Oh, and I didn't even mention this part. Get this. You're going to love this one. Let me wait for these cars to pass by. So, I totally forgot to mention this, but if you're still with me for this video, God bless you. So, when they were, going through his room, they took 6 cell phones, right? 6 cell phones. And so they're going through the cell phones. And in the cell phones, in the Google search, the online search, this Caden guy, he's searching up how many deaths is considered a mass murder. If you put a gun in the freezer, will it destroy the DNA? How much is it for a homicide attorney? I don't mean to laugh, because 3 kids, no matter what they were up to, listen, if they were up to stuff and they're buying guns and then they're buying weed, whatever, that's not a death sentence, okay? I know that when you're involved in this activity, that's a death sentence. Excuse me, it's not a death sentence. Sorry. That's not a death sentence. And so you have the murder weapon, you have the genius internet search. How much is it for a homicide attorney? When was the last time any of you guys looked up how much it costs for a homicide attorney? I've never looked that one up. I never have. So, the next court date that this guy is going to have is in December, and I don't know I don't know when the trial's going to start. Not sure when the trial's going to start, but I'll be paying attention to this case because, listen, I ain't gonna lie. What if they drop the charges? What if this kid is released? What if it's true that he actually did do this? And dude, we have the makings of an actual serial killer, possibly. That's what a serial killer does. Like, killed 3 people, Googling about it, and then they find the murder weapon in your room. Doesn't take a genius to figure out the guilt right here. So, we're gonna see what happens to old Caden Smith. By the way, before I end the video, I will give it to Caden Smith. Let me tell you something. If you are going to kill 3 people, you could not take a better booking photo because he looks as innocent as a lamb. That's why when I came across this story, I said, this guy really killed 3 people? Only 16, 5'10", 120 pounds soaking wet. I think he's 5'10". Skinny beanpole kid. Pulls out a gun and just commits this, supposedly, these triple murders. Yeah, this is definitely a what I like to call a crap area. I'm getting the hell out of here. I don't know about you guys. But I'm getting out of here. I'll be I'll be thousands of miles away by the time you guys see this video. Or maybe I won't. Lamont at large, I'm out of here. Man, if they let that kid out, Indianapolis, God help you. That kid is a danger. Psycho. Catch me later. Have a good one. Peace out.